and I've said this before, so I haven't been fired for saying it, but I'll say it again. I would make up the report sometimes because A, the coach wouldn't come out at halftime, or it was too late. And I was like, I didn't want to screw up the report. So I was like, I'm just going to make this up because first of all, no coach is going to get mad if I say, hey, we need to stop hurting ourselves. We need to be better on third down. We need to stop turning the ball
Pressure
over.
the quarterback.
We need, yeah, exactly. and do a better job of getting off the field. Like, they're not going to correct me on that.
Right.
So I'm like, it's fine. I'll just make up the report.
That was Charissa Thompson on Pardon My Take, and this has been a story that has taken storm all over the sports media world, and we're here to break it all down. I'm Mike Mercado. He's Paul Chevard. We're here on the Sports Cubicle on WCPT 820 AM and WSBC 1240 AM. And, Paulie, this is something that you and I found super interesting, and it's right up our alley when it comes to inside baseball of the industry. And I think Thursday Night Football coming and going, a huge matchup that had huge injuries and huge implications of standings in the AFC North. This ended up being the biggest story and what her response was going to be. Before we get to Polly and your thoughts on this, we also want to make sure that we have the fullest story as much as possible. This comes to us from Charissa Thompson's Instagram. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. I have a responsibility to myself and my employers to clarify what is being reported. When on a podcast this week, I said I would make up reports early in my career when I worked as a sideline reporter before I transitioned to my current host role. Working in media, I understand how important words are, and I chose the wrong words to describe the situation. I'm sorry. I have never lied about anything or been unethical during my time as a sports broadcaster. In the absence of a coach providing any information that would further my report, I would use information that I learned and saw during the first half to create my report. For example, if a team was 0 for 7 on third down, that would clearly be an area they need to improve on the second half. In these instances, I never attribute anything I said to a player or a coach. I have nothing but respect for sideline reporters and for the tireless work they put in behind the scenes and on the field. I'm only appreciative and humbled to work alongside some of the best in the business and call them some of my best friends. Again, that was Charissa Thompson's Instagram. A lot there, Paulie. I want to know your instant reactions. You just heard the sound clip from the podcast, and you've seen the reaction since. Your initial thoughts?
I guess she wasn't hired for her integrity. Honestly, I didn't even really know who she was until I saw this, and I only really saw the headline until you played the clip for me. And it kind of circles back. Weren't we talking about this a month or two ago about, peeling back the curtain and, showing that, we're not trying to gaslight people. We're not trying to get clicks. We're not trying to, and it's a very clickbait sort of world. So that's not what she's doing here necessarily, but it's also, she has a job to perform, and there's millions of women behind her that never get the opportunities that she does, and never will get the opportunities that she does, but they'll all work harder than her. So it's an insult to the industry, and I think it's an insult to people like, let's say, like Erin Andrews, right? Like,
who she's a podcast co-host with.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay. And the reason why I bring up Erin
together.
Andrews is because, let's address the elephant in the room. These women are hired for their physical appearance as well as what they can do with the microphone and what they do. But you wanted to stop.
What Polly is saying is the dark truth when we're talking about these producers and executives on Fox, CBS, NBC, and they're building out their team.
Yep.
There's no accident that your play-by-play guy, your color guy, and your sideline reporter are all beautiful, straight from casting.
There's a formula to it.
100%.
And I don't want people to be like, that's so shallow. I don't make the rules. I look at what it is. It's like,
we're in the industry.
Very,
we're telling
very
you.
tall, dark, and handsome, and white.
Yes.
Which
is important too to bring up this.
That's important too.
Uh-huh.
And then when it comes to women, it's always like blonde and tall. And the reason why I say it's an insult to Erin Andrews is because Erin Andrews has proven time and time again that she is very brilliant, very smart, earned her way to the top of the game, despite the fact that she bumped Pam Oliver out of the top spot, in which it seemed like both Pam and Erin understood the situation there with Fox Sports. So now this calls into the question, I think it's what Amazon has hired her right now.
As the host of the pre and post.
That's part of the reason that I probably didn't know her is because I don't watch Thursday Night Football. You can't force me to like Thursday Night Football, and I'm not going to subscribe to Amazon just to watch Thursday Night Football, especially since most of it is bad despite the matchups, although I didn't see this week's game. I heard Baltimore just destroyed Cincinnati.
But here's the thing: a lot of injuries in that game, and this is the biggest story.
Yeah, this is the biggest story. But it's also Thursday Night Football is a whole another thing that we can talk about.
We'll talk about that as we go on.
Yeah, it just really shouldn't even be a thing. If she doesn't get fired for this, then there's no integrity at Amazon, and it's even more of the bad that oozes out of Thursday Night Football.
Paulie, she says it in the clip. I haven't been fired before. I'm not going to get fired now. There's a sense of privilege that Charissa Thompson has. Now, I want to be...
Watch her play victim after all of this.
And she might. And here's the thing. I think she's actually really good. I've loved her since Sports Nation. I think she's always been very charismatic, and she does her job great in pre and post.
But now you don't know what she's been truthful about, though.
And this is where, if you look at some of the greats, Tracy Wolfson, right? Like, I think she's great as a sideline reporter. Laura Oakman, Pam Oliver, they all came out and really went against Charissa Thompson.
Even
Buster Olney.
Wasn't Michelle Tafoya the big right winger or whatever? She was great. She was great in her role.
And even she
Susie
tweeted
Colbert,
out.
There's been various sideline reporters,
and they've all came out against it.
Yep.
And I think this is what's really important because they put into their work and how hard it was for them to get into this. Let's not forget, right? It's still women trying to get into the sports world in a job. And then let's take a layer even past that. Women of color.
Yep.
So and here's the thing about Charissa. Remember when she first got hired? She dyed her hair black and wore glasses because she was afraid people wouldn't take her serious for being a blonde woman.
Which is unfortunate that she felt she needed to do that.
But then to discredit yourself, credit killing is such a bummer for me. But again,
that's definitely an inside thought. She should not have shared that. And it's how many times have we seen people go on podcasts, or I guess in this respect that's a little bit bigger than a podcast, but how many times someone goes on a non-mainstream channel and says something like this, and it's like, that's the truth. That's who they truly are.
And think about how much money, Paul, is going on in sports gambling. And if $1 is bet on by a report done by her, or any of these sideline reporters, good or bad, it all matters. This is bigger than just my job, or this is entertaining from my couch seat.
Yeah.
This is big. You can't just be making up stuff. And now, what if you're one of these coaches? If you're Mike Tomlin, you're like, I didn't say that. Why are you putting words in my mouth? I never said X, Y, or Z.
Well, and the coaches don't have time to address that.
And it's a waste
especially
of time.
Because she's talking in generics too. She's talking in very generics. It's not like she's saying something that's completely false. She's just saying something that's that could probably fall under the umbrella of a coach would say something like that. But it also further proves that what these sideline reporters are reporting and saying don't really matter unless it's something specific, like, oh, so-and-so went down with an injury in the first quarter.
Which happened in this Thursday night game.
Yeah, I talked to the coach. He said that he might be back out in the third quarter, or he's still being looked at by the church. But even then, you don't get a lot of that revealed anyway. They're not going to just tell the media straight up yeah, we're planning on having him back, or no, he's out for the game, because they don't want the other side to know what's going on.
But this is why it's important that these are journalists, because they find little things. Or like when Joe Burrow having his wrist in one of those slings, but he's not in the injury report. Yeah. Or they see Mark Andrews, they're like, no, that lip looks like this. There is certain credibility and resourcefulness for having these sideline reporters, but it does kill the entire credibility of what everybody does, or the work that they have done over these years. And I don't know if there's going to be punishment because she doesn't do this anymore. She's not a sideline reporter. She's bigger than sideline.
So what is she doing now on Thursday Night Football?
She hosts the pre and post and has a huge podcast with Aaron Andrews. Like, she does it. She does commercials. She's bigger than somebody who could get in trouble for this, I believe.
I hope Aaron Andrews at least addresses this on their podcast. I mean, not that it really, the onus is not on Aaron Andrews to really answer to all of this, but at the same time, if you're going to work with someone like this that's kind of done this to your industry for, women of your type, I think it needs to be put out there on the table. Why do you do this? How truthful have you been? Is it really just one or two times that you've done this? I don't know. To me, I've always thought that it was kind of weird that the formula that they have for the type of women that they use for these sideline reports, it's clearly for the demographic watching the game, the visual aspect of it. I've never really liked how saturated the media is in the game. Though this isn't really related, it kind of relates to it where the interview during the game, baseball especially has been problematic with this. It used to be we interview the managers during the game, but it was always like between innings. So it's like, okay, it's not really affecting anything. But then that turned into, we need to talk to the managers during the inning. And it's like, okay, now you're both affecting each other's jobs because the broadcaster isn't calling the game and the manager's not managing the game. They're doing an in-game interview.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And I think,
interesting.
and it's like, I mean, it's turned to competition into entertainment. And I guess I'm okay if everyone's straight up and calling it entertainment, but the problem is all of these things were started for the sake of competition, and it turned into entertainment because that's how you can rake in the dollars. So let's just be straight up about it and just say that, like, this is no longer for the pride. This is for the money.
And if that's the case, I'm cool with it. What I'm not cool with is somebody lying and then kind of doubling down on it and saying, I kind of got away with it and I continue to get no consequences when there's so many women that are so overqualified to do that job that have given it their all, have been given the glass ceiling, and, you just kind of had this admission. And I think it would have been fine. You want to know the simple fix to this? Is instead of saying Mike Tomlin or Bill Belichick told me this, it should be, we weren't able to get word from Bill Belichick.
Totally cool.
But throughout the week, we were told this, and in the game, it looks like this. Move on.
Yeah.
Very fast. And here's the thing. Nobody will tell the difference.
Yep.
But we want to know your thoughts. What do you think about this whole Charissa Thompson thing? Does it matter to you? Do you see the importance of it? What do you think the repercussions will be? We want to know your thoughts. We're on Twitter at Sports Cubicle TV. Make sure you like the video over on YouTube at The Sports Cubicle, Sports from the Couch. Of course, check out the SoundCloud over at WCPT 820. He's Paul Shivari. I'm Mike Mercado.